All right. Peace and abundance to all of you and to everyone who comes through to view this. So, I am so excited to be here. So excited to be here for this Global Business Community Expo. Shout out to Jennifer for putting all of this together and all of its beautiful powerfulness. Shout out to all of the participants and all of the attendees. There were some very powerful sessions today, and there are definitely going to be some later on as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing the rest of what everyone has to offer. Um, so, welcome to the Sacred Feminine session. My name is Desiree. I also go by Clarity, and so you may see both on the expo as well. I am an intuitive healer, a transformation guide, an herbalist, a yoga instructor, all the things. Um, but my overall goal is to facilitate healing for those who it is who are in a space where they are ready to really take on that work and move into a new way and a new space of being within themselves and in their experience. And so I specialize in womb healing. And in that, I assist women in really navigating the process of healing their wombs, seeing and dealing with different ailments and things that it is that they have going on in a natural way. So that way we really get to the root of the issues and not just, see the symptoms and seek to cover them up, as some forms of medicine do. Um, and really help them to find a balance. For me, in my own healing journey of healing fibroids and different ailments that it is that I have experienced, I have learned so much, and I love taking that wisdom and that knowledge and imparting it to others and seeing their transformation and their results. Um, I also specialize in healing transformations for those who it is who are seeking to release weight. In 2016, I was at my highest weight of 287 pounds, and through a transformation of mind, body, and spirit, I was able to let go of so much more than just the physical weight. And really embody some practices and things within myself that have helped me to not only accomplish that goal, but to sustain myself throughout that time so that way I could evolve and transform in other ways in my lifestyle and in what it is that I do. And so today we are here to talk about the sacred feminine. And you might be like, okay, I heard about divine femininity, so what is that, and I would say that sacred femininity and divine femininity are different, and that the sacred feminine refers specifically to those of us that chose to possess feminine vessels in this incarnation, because it really speaks to the connections that our bodies have and that we have to this earth, into this realm, into nature itself. I think that the difference between divine femininity and that is that divine femininity really more speaks to our spiritual origins. And those are genderless traits of the feminine archetype that we all possess, because we all have feminine and masculine energy. And so what I really wanted to speak about today is how the tide is shifting. We see so many things going on in the world where the structures are crumbling, and we're really moving into a new phase of our experience and of existence. It's kind of like when you talk about the pendulum swing. It has to come to that midpoint before it kind of swings and shifts the other way. And I feel like we are kind of on that downward spiral before we kind of get ready to go back up. But there's so much happening in the earth and so much that's happening within us as individuals that we really have to stop and take stock, so that way we are making sure that we are positioning ourselves to be on top, when we hit in that upward swing. And so when we talk about the fall of the patriarchy, where the feminine has been so suppressed in religion and in culture, and all these things and demonized, where we are really starting to see a lot of this information coming out and really starting to see a lot of those things beginning to change as well, where we are realizing more of our power, and we're also realizing those spaces and places where we have been slighted, and where we have been taught ways of being and acting and doing and moving that have never served us, but we never knew that there was another way that we could go about life and that we could do things. Um, and so when we talk about this shift, and we talk about how we as sacred feminines can position ourselves for success in really this transfer, you hear about it being, the greatest wealth transfer, in history, and all these different things that we are right here in the midst of. But we are also in the midst of one of the greatest shifts of power and influence that we have seen as well. And as sacred feminines, and women possessing feminine vessels during this time, the tide is shifting for us as well. And so when we talk about that shift of power, and we look at those things that it is about us that have been demonized, I would say, our softness, our emotionality, and all these different aspects of us that connect us with nature and that connect us with this realm. A man cannot have a baby. I mean, we are literally the closest thing in this incarnation to the creator. Um, Yet, the way that we are treated, in the healthcare system, in the education system, and all these different things, does not speak to the sacredness that we truly embody and who it is that we really are here in this earth. And so when we talk about embodying our power, this is what we are seeking to do, to position ourselves in a way where during this time we can be able to see the unseen, hear the unheard, know the unknown, feel the unfelt, and speak the unspoken, because that is the connection that we have. And once we are able to tune into that and to really connect ourselves in that way, then we can move and do and be in ways that are going to really empower us. And it's not for us to dominate the man and all these things. It's about a balance. When we as feminine and masculine are balanced, and as men and women are balanced, and we are able to come together in those ways to be powerful with one another and not over one another, then we'll really be able to see the changes in this realm and in this earth that it is that we need for it to really be a new earth and a new kingdom, and all these different ways that we hear this new age that it is that we are shifting into being talked about and being discussed, in all the ancient literatures and all the different cultural themes and all these things, which really at the end of the day they say the same thing. um, so I just want to talk about one of the most important ways that we can do that, which is to rest. And I laugh when I say that, because in this culture of go, 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 do, if you're not working hard, if you're not getting to the bag, if you're not toiling after something, then people will call you lazy, or say, what are you really doing? If you tell somebody that I'm resting into this next transformation, I'm taking it easy into this next flow, I'm listening for my next move, people will probably think that you were crazy. But that is just a sign of the times that we are in, where we have been so conditioned by this society and by the negative aspects of capitalism, and by the way that that has been used to really mold our minds in a certain way for us to think of working in all these different aspects of daily life that we are in, which are unnatural, a 40-hour work week, 2 days off, looking forward to the weekend, all these things and these paradigms that it is that we find ourselves being a part of, that really don't serve our highest good or serve our highest callings for why it is that we are here. And so the resting and the slowing down, I would say, is the most important aspect of the work pun intended, that it is that we are here to do in order to see these shifts through and in order to make sure that we are capitalizing on this time that it is that we are moving through, like I said, with the shift in the season. And so, when we talk about resting and slowing down, what does that really look like for us in a practical, everyday way? Um, I think that for me, one of the top things is being tuned in to the earth. And I also think that when we talk about informing our lives with some of these practices and moving into and shifting the way that we do things, sometimes it can seem kind of daunting because you might feel like, oh, well, in order to meditate, I need to sit down and be quiet for 2 hours or, whatever that looks like. But it is the smallest, slightest changes that we make and begin with and build on that have the most powerful impact on our lives and on our way of being and our way of thinking. And so, even just being able to start with, okay, in the rising, I'm going to go outside and plant my feet in the grass for 5 minutes before I get dressed for work, or I'm going to make sure that I go out to the park and take a walk twice a week and that I get fresh air. And that I actually connect with the earth. I might go by and just touch a tree for 30 seconds. And I mean, it's whatever we can do in the smallest ways that we can build our way up to make sure that we are continuously and consistently establishing that connection. Um, and I would say that that's one of my top things is connecting, with the earth. And then the next thing that I would say is making sure that we are connecting with our bodies. We live in these vessels. They are ours to steward and to take care of. But I think that sometimes, even though we rise and rest in these vessels, we can still neglect them in ways, making sure that we are being aware of any aches and pains or things that it is that we have going on, making sure that we are breathing properly. What is our posture like? Those are really simple things that we can have self awareness of that will help us to be able to have a better quality of life overall. Um, so I'm gonna stop there because I know that even just the whole concept of that when we talk about sacred femininity and really embodying that can kind of get us to talking and thinking and get our wheels spinning. So what I want to invite you to is a few things actually. Um, so on Clubhouse, and my clubhouse at is at Clarity Heals. So it's KLEIRITI Heals, HEALS. If you would like to go and connect with me there, at the bottom, I have a club called the Sacred Feminine Session. And in April, we are going to be beginning weekly to speak about some of these topics regarding sacred femininity and how it is that we can set ourselves up for success in this shift. And so we're going to talk about slowing down and resting, feeling into our intuition, really being in our bodies. We'll do some somatic practices, some breathing, some different things, just to really give us some tools that are practical for us to put into our everyday lives and our experiences that will help us to be able to really embody these. And then it also is a space for us to be able to create sisterhood as well, so that we have other people who are on the same page for us to be able to speak to about these things and really be able to build community based off of that. Because in these upcoming days, that is going to be such an important thing as well. It's always important for us to be in community and be able to connect with one another because we are already all connected. And the next thing that I want to invite you to is the master classes that are going to be following that as well in April and May. And so I really want to dig into some of these subjects in a closed space with those who it is who would like to attend around like religion and sexuality and sensuality and just some of these different things that it is that I feel like in my own experience have kind of been like taboo subjects where we didn't really speak about, how to be sensual without being overtly sexual, or even in being overtly sexual, like what that looks like in a healthy way. Just some of these things that it is that we may be afraid to really discuss, but that do need space to be held for us to be able to have healthy and advancing conversations about. And so that information, if you would like to connect with me on Instagram at Divine Self Healing, it's Divine Self Healing, and it's all one word. If you go to my speaker page on the platform, the link is there as well, and you'll also see the logo. Um, you can connect with me there, and over the next few weeks, I will be posting more information on when these are going to be held and how you can get access to that. Also, I am going to be holding a container at the end of the summer called the Sacred Feminine Emerging. And it is going to be a 3-month container for a small group of women who would like to dive deeper into a lot of the topics that it is that we're going to discuss. It's going to be about womb healing, about mother wounds, about father wounds, about wounding from relationships, and how it is that we can embody that healing and move through those things so that we can get to the greater that it is that we're asking for and that we're seeking. We're going to talk about some of the things that it is that we're talking about in the master class and even in the clubhouse sessions, just in more depth, in more of a container space where we can really do more of those practices, do more of the breathing, do more of the mantras and the affirmations, and really have space to kind of hold one another in that. And so, for those who will be interested in the container, I'm also going to be releasing a short, maybe 5 to 6 episode private podcast where it's going to be me and a couple of guests who are phenomenal in the work that they do in supporting women in some of these lanes as well. So that way we can really get an idea of what it is that we're going to be discussing, but it can also give you some practical tools, because that is what all of this information is for us to be able to not only discuss these things, but for us to be actually able to implement them and apply them so that way we can get that wisdom and really have it to affect not only us, but our families and our communities to really see the change and the healing that it is that we're looking to experience. And so, if all of that interests you, if any of it interests you, I look forward to connecting with you. I have on my website as well, www.divineselfhealing.com. If you go there, there's a pop-up there that'll come up where you can enter your email, or if you scroll to the bottom of the main page, you can enter your email as well if you want to be connected with me on my email list, because I will be sending out my newsletter that will have all this information as well. So you can connect with me on Instagram or Facebook at Divine Self Healing, on Clubhouse at Clarity Heals, or at my website at www.divineselfhealing.com. And the last thing that I wanted to talk about was, if you see on my expo page, it says Transformation Guide, Intuitive Healer, and Author. So I am in the final processes of getting together and releasing my first collection of poetry. So if you're interested in that as well, you can send me a DM or send me an email or whatever that looks like if you would like to get on the waiting list for that. But I will also, like I said, be sending out more information and posting that, because by the end of May, that will be available as well. So thank you so much. I appreciate everyone for watching and for listening, and for your time. And it's time to heal. Peace.